so everyone knows. And a couple housekeeping. So as a Zoom webinar, you don't have your picture. And I will allow everyone to talk if you want. I can add that on so everyone can automatically ask questions. We do have it set up where we have a chat. There'll be an interactive chat for different parts of the webinar. And there's also a Q&A. And that's where you can ask questions along the, anytime you have a question, you can enter it in the Q&A, but again, it's a small group. So you can welcome to ask, openly ask questions and interact, whatever you're more comfortable with. So we'll get started, and I'll just allow everyone to speak if they want, get that feature. Okay. All right. All right, so we'll get started. So, in the chat, we want to know a little bit more about you. If you want to type in just to help guide the presentation, who are you? What's your business? Are you a farmer, a food producer? What do you grow? What do you produce? Are you, currently selling at farmers markets? Are you planning to? And, what are you hoping to get out of this webinar? So we'll just take a minute and type away in the chat.
So it looks like we have Barry and Lisa on. Is that what you see on your end, Melinda?
Yep. And there's one more participant, but it says not everyone is showing. So there's 3 participants. If you look on your panelists or participants, it'll show you.
Oh, yep. I see there's more. Yep. Hi, Barry. Hi, Lisa. Oh, I love your social media, Lisa. It's awesome. So you'll probably have tips for us.
You're seeing everything, Lindsay. Lindsay's going to drive the show. Lindsay's our expert.
Okay, so we've got a startup phase of a veggie farm. And I'm sorry if I'm thinking it might be pica, but please correct me with pronunciation. But they make prepared foods, quiche soups. Awesome. Oh, really? That's really neat that it's frozen. And yeah, prepared foods is so lacking at the markets, and it's in such high demand. That's excellent. So is that everybody then? So we've got,
that looks like everyone. You got everyone, Lindsay.
All right, so I'm going to dive in. Thank you for the intro, Melinda. And Melinda and I will both be kind of chiming in. And again, we invite you, if you're comfortable, to unmute yourself and chat. Since it's such a small group, if you feel more comfortable typing, that's fine. If you prefer to just speak up, whatever you'd like. Okay, so what we're going to talk about tonight is branding. This presentation is kind of divided into 3 sections. And the first part is branding and why it matters. Then how to integrate your brand into your booth or your table display at the market. And then 5 ways to brand your market booth. And then we'll also throw in 7 product display and sales tips. So the first section again is all about branding. And what is branding? So you can either unmute yourself and share what you see here, or tell us in the chat just some observations, quick hitting, what comes to mind first. Oh, cool. Barry's starting a farm market in the city of Buffalo. Awesome. Yes, grass-fed cows, they are grass-fed. Anyone that has a dairy farming background always says they need to be milked badly. Yep, the pasture. Anyone see any other critters besides cows? That one, it took me a couple, I love sharing this exercise and I've done it for a few years and people always come up with something new.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's a milkmaid or a little boy, we're not sure which one, and then a rabbit. So yes, exactly. So, okay, we're kind of all over the place with what we see. And then the next question I have for you is, now what do you see?
Purple cow.
Yeah, thank you. So the point of that little exercise, the purple cow concept is not mine, but it's a marketing genius named Seth Godin. He is literally, I think, the thought leader in intelligent branding and marketing. So if you're looking to dive in deeper, check out his books and his writings. But I love this. This key to success is to, find a way to stand out and be the purple cow in a field of monochrome Holsteins. And I think when you're at the market, you want to be that purple cow. You want to stick out. You want your presence to stick out. Tonight's really focused on what you do at the market, but it can also play out in social media. So you want to stick out and be that purple cow. The other thing that I do this exercise because you kind of had to think, took you, 20 seconds. Okay, what can I remark on? Whereas when we show the purple cow, it was instant. You didn't have to think about it. And that's what good branding is. So what is branding? It's your business name, your logo, your tagline, your typography, your colors, and your attitude and personality. So we're going to really cover, we're not going to go deep into this tonight, but those are the attributes. And the more that you can keep these reflective of who you are and keep them consistent, we'll get into kind of the rules of branding, the better. So good branding. Branding should be emotional. So it should make people feel something. Hopefully love for your brand, but you want to make an emotional connection with people and your brand can help you do that. It should be easy to remember, and we're going to have a fun, I think it's fun exercise for how memorable is a brand, but it should be easy to remember. And then easy to remark about. So back to the purple cow example, it's something that you don't even have to think about. It just rolls off your tongue. It's simple, it's to the point, and it doesn't take a lot of thought. So why does branding matter? There's always the temptation for people to think that it's just making your logo pretty or it's not that important, but there are many reasons that it does matter. One big one is that customers are less apt to find a different brand to buy from when you raise your prices, because again, if they are feeling the love for you, they're not going to leave you. When you're easy to remember and easy to recall, customers are going to talk more about you because you're remarkable. They're going to seek you out. And the fourth one, and I think one of the most important, is to differentiate yourself from the competition. So let's take the Beach Lake Bakery. You don't want someone saying, what's the name of that bakery that I love? You want them to instantly remember who you are, and you're so solidified in their mind that they don't have to think twice. The other thing a brand can do is elevate your business. So, you may have the best veggies, Barry's growing veggies. So, the best veggies out there. But, if it's not, if you don't have a brand to kind of represent yourself, or if you have a subpar brand, it could actually hurt you. So it is important to focus on a quality brand. And I'm going to just check in on chat here and see if I'm missing any good stuff. Hold on one second.
You're good.
Okay, we're good.
Yep.
All right. So 3 attributes of strong brands. And if you have one, you can use these. If you are starting one, this is how you can kind of craft your brand. So the first thing is unique. is your brand, does it stand out? Is it memorable? We're going to actually do an eyes closed test. And then is it consistent? We're going to look at an example, the John Deere logo. Oh, and with consistency, I mean, is it used consistently? I've actually seen businesses that have multiple logos and they kind of decide when they want to use which logo, and it's a bad idea. The other thing is with consistency, it should be used for as long as possible. You shouldn't change it up often. So I just wanted to go over a couple examples of what I think are strong brands. This is I'm in Syracuse, New York, and this is a farm just outside our city. It's called Wake Robin, which is another word for trillium, the trillium flower. And so that's kind of, they have a unique story behind their brand. So they use the color of the trillium, that signature burgundy. The Wake Robin or the trillium is in their logo. It's in their name. And it also is a really nice story behind it, which is that it's a family farm and they let their jerseys go out to pasture. And there's some trillium flowers in the spring that blossom at their farm. So it's just a nice tie-in. You have the nice visual and they make really good, my favorite yogurt of all time. So if you're ever in this area, definitely pick up their products. They don't pay me to say this, they should, because I've been talking about them for 10 years. But anyway, so having a story can help set you apart from other people. So I'm going to actually let Melinda chat about another brand that has a strong look, but also they have a story that kind of sticks out. They have a great name too.
Mm-hmm. So, with maple syrup, we always see the typical maple syrup bottles in the store. Everyone has them. So how can you be unique and stick out? So they really, focus on their story through their website, through their social media. And we'll talk a little bit more about, their branding later on, but they've come up with a unique name to label their product, Tree Juice, which is much different. Their name for their business is much different than everyone else just says maple syrup, sugar house, whatnot. So it really elevates them, makes them stick out among other products that might be on the shelf or out the market. And it's a really fun brand, and they really tell the story, where they're from, located in the Catskills, and how it started. Even, they may not have been farming on this property, but they still tell the story of the property and incorporate it all together. So before you even get to the market, you have there's a story behind it, and you're already, maybe looking for them.
Yep. Yeah, their colors are great. It's kind of like a retro color palette. We're going to, like Melinda said, we talk more about them and we show more of their brand, but
and especially with maple syrup too, it's a lot for a little bit. I mean, we all know it's delicious. So, the story showing, this is what it takes to, make this maple syrup. They're telling that story, and again, showing why their product is important.
Yep. And again, this is something that they do a great job both at the market and on social media. So I think, Melinda, there's some upcoming social workshops that we'll kind of dive deeper into storytelling and social media.
Yep, we will have just we'll throw it in there in the fall. Lindsay, I'm working with Lindsay to do a series on social media. So to really get into how do you create these social media posts with telling the story. So we'll doing a lot more on that in the fall as well.
Yeah. I'm sorry when there's a delay, it's because I'm looking at chat and I'm reading chat, and then I have to click back over to the PowerPoint.
Yeah, click next, I'm next.
Yeah, so that's one thing Zoom is not smoothed over. So I'm sorry for that delay. Again, being in the Catskills, you guys, I'm sure know Good Fine Farm and Matt Burns, but brands are like people. It was kind of mind-blowing to me when I first got into marketing. Someone gave a speech about, brands are like people. And if you think about that, this was 15, 20 years ago, where we didn't have social media. So brands had to do a lot of a lot more work than they do today, but you know, a strong brand is still important. But just like a person, you want to have a very well-defined personality, whatever it is, and showcase that personality whenever you can. And I think Good Fine Farm does that. They're really friendly and fun. They do not take themselves too seriously, and they reflect that both in their social media, their presence at market, and even their logos, very approachable. You can't see it here, but there's the double O's in good are little eyes. So it's just fun. But another thing is to think of, you know, the more, remember with branding, it's how much you can differentiate yourself. Like that's the goal. So a very simple way is, are you a Dunkin' person or a Starbucks person? I know that's not very agriculturally related, but it's a good kind of analogy. Like, who are you? And I say, who are you? Because a lot of times you are the brand because you're the owner and you're at the market. But who is your brand? What kind of personality do they have, and how can we reflect it?
Mm-hmm. And you can see on, you know, Matt just started Instagram last year, but, you know, Good Fine Farm's been at a little bit more, but these fun photos obviously are more memorable for people. They're getting the likes on social media instead of just posting a picture. Hey, I have cilantro tomorrow. You know, you see that picture, you might be like, oh, that looks fun. I want to go to the market and buy your cilantro.
Yep. So now we're going to do another little interactive test here. So just take 10 seconds and stare at this logo. I hope this conservation district never finds out about this presentation because I just pulled their logo as an example. But yes, take a good look at this, and then we're going to close our eyes, or we're just going to go to the next screen, and I'm going to just ask you a couple questions. So I'm 3, 2, 1. Okay, what do you remember from that logo?
I can say it out loud.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember birds flying overhead, setting sun, rolling hills. It looks like one was in wheat, maybe one in hay. A pond or a water body of some sort with some fish, what looked like a crab and some natural grasses. I think a red barn on a hill.
Yeah, well, you probably have remembered more than anyone I've ever done this with.
I have a photographic memory. So.
Yeah, Lisa and Pika just said the same things, a lot of colors, a fish and a crab. It's funny, I always see a fish and a crab and I remember like rainbow hues, but Barry, you must have a really good photographic memory because I think you pretty much covered it. In fact, let's go back and check it out. Oh, whoa, went way too far. Sorry. Yeah, wow, you really got it all. That is impressive. So you are not the norm. You are not the average person out there, because the reason I always share this logo is because it's a perfect example of someone or some organization trying to do everything in one logo, and it's very difficult to remember it. It's very difficult to remember. It's just not remarkable. The fact that you did remember everything, again, is quite amazing, but it took you 10 seconds to tell us all what, you know, it's not that instant picture in your mind. You probably had to like really concentrate. We want it to be instant. Your brand should immediately be recognized. So again, I love the simplicity of the Good Fine Farm. Another Catskills purveyor, the Ostrich Cider. I love their logo. It's so simple. It's the A from their name and it makes an exclamation mark. It's just simple, but not simple-minded. And I think that there's a tendency with branding to try to get a little too ornate, and really you just want to be memorable.
For as much as I remembered the conservation district, I never realized that was an exclamation point in Ostrich until you just said it, even though I lived in the Catskills for several years.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. It's like I said, it's simple, but not simple-minded. It's it's a very smart logo. It's kind of like when you said that, it's the FedEx logo. I don't know if you know, there's an arrow in the FedEx logo intentionally.
Nope.
So
Know
if
that.
I know everyone has their phone out, I'm sure. So go ahead and Google it. But it makes a forward arrow to emphasize that they're going to get your package where it needs to go. So we talked about, let me just back up real quick. So uniqueness is an attribute and important. Being memorable is important. And then the third one is consistency. And again, I mentioned earlier, consistency means always using the same logo, but it also means don't change your logo too often. I've recommended to a couple of my clients that had maybe not the greatest logo to just hold off, keep your logo, do not update it until you do it very carefully and organically, because there were some attributes of the logo that were still really relevant. Another logo that I recently worked on, we actually scrapped, Melinda and I worked on it. We scrapped the entire logo because it was not created with any intention. It was something that was thrown together, and it did not serve its purpose. It didn't tell a story. It wasn't remarkable. But here with the John Deere logo, I love this because it hasn't changed that much since 1876. You've got your deer. They didn't change the direction the deer is jumping. The deer is jumping. It's evolved, but it is still the same from 1876. So if you're thinking of a rebrand, maybe you have a brand, see what you can salvage and try and salvage as much as you can, because every year that goes by, you're building up that brand equity and being memorable, which is one of our 3 attributes. So we're almost done with the branding section. But I would recommend, if you're starting a brand, that you hire a designer and that you don't try to do it yourself, or you don't crowdsource. And a designer, they don't have to be at a giant ad agency. There's a lot of really great freelance designers. But the other thing is, when you work with them, it tends to be a more unique logo that fits your personality. It's not going to be something that's cookie cutter. And again, like I said, keep what you have if possible, and have restraint. So for you, Barry, if you have a ton of vegetables, don't try and put all of the vegetables in your logo, because it's just going to be, there are some rare examples. I mean, it's okay to have a cornucopia approach where people can say, okay, I remember vegetables in the logo. Actually, the Rock Hill logo, a bunch of products artfully arranged, that's fine. But trying to actually cram every single product you grow, or Pika, what you do, if you're trying to put every single frozen or meal, that pre-prepared food that you have into your logo, it's not going to be effective.
Barry just put in the chat her link to her farm site too.
Yeah, that's kind of, I worked with, it's really important for me to work with other small business owners, and especially women or BIPOC owned businesses. So I did work with a small woman business owner who is a designer, and she did my logo. But yeah, because my farm is focused on human scale, ecological diversity, it is, a hand, the human,
Yeah,
kind of professional.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
And yeah, just, kind of some leafy greens, which is kind of my focus, but also some calendula flowers, because heading into some cut flowers and medicinals and a little bit of herbals kind of on as a smaller part. So it's kind of representative.
That's really nice. I really like the hand. That's what sticks out to me right away. And it looks hand drawn, which is great. Kind of like tree juice that looks very hand created. So thank you for sharing that. I love that. Yeah. If Pika and Beach, if you want to drop your link in the chat, feel free. I would love to see your logos. So now we're going to dive into, and I'm mindful of the time, I'm 7 minutes over. So I'm going to try and pick up speed here so we can get you done by, at least the presentation done by 7:30. So here are some branded upgrades that you could do. Again, whether or not you have a logo, just this is going to showcase some of the different ways you can bring your brand to life at the market. So if you're gonna, right now is probably you're planning for the market season. If you're gonna buy anything, make sure it's branded. Do not do anything that is unbranded and generic. It's a waste of money and a waste of time. So what does that mean? Oh, sorry, bonus. Visually appealing displays are going to be more likely to have shares on social media. People want to take a picture of a bountiful table and a beautiful product. So that's a little bonus of spending time and money on branding. So I'm gonna let Melinda jump in here.
So this is Winterton Farms. They're a lavender farm located in Sullivan County. So they've really connected back to the purple of lavender. And they stick out at the market. Their tent is purple, their tablecloth is purple, their t-shirts are purple, their little bags are purple. So they really connected back to that purple. And I know at least I do, when I think of lavender, I think of purple. So they really focus on that purple image and put it into the market, and you really are, drawn to them.
And it literally glows purple too. Like it's like you're at like a disco and there's purple light. So it's fun. We've got Tree Juice again here.
Yep, and here's Tree Juice again. So again, it's orange. They've branded their tent, their names right there. They really stick to the orange tablecloth, the orange tent. The shirts are orange and brown. Even their truck has their image on their truck, which is a great way to, outside of the market, what Lindsay was talking about before, doing the full circle, promoting your brand outside the market. So, people see you outside the market and they'll still want to come to the market to buy your product. So yeah, they really do a great job connecting back to that brown, orange, it's different than other maple syrup. And even their containers, their boxes, it's a full circle. Their tent, shirts, boxes, everything. So that's an example how you can really, really pull it in.
And I love it too, because again, it looks organic, and I mean organic, as Barry was saying, like handmade. Just because you're investing time and effort into branding, which yes, Fortune 100 companies do, but you should also be doing it as a small business because it's just smart, and it doesn't need to look formal or corporate.
And I think Lindsay, you can talk more about this. I mean, at farmers markets, it seems like, bright, your colors and having a lot works on a market versus maybe you wouldn't do the same style at a store, but at a farmer's market, you're really trying to stand out.
Yeah. This is just, these are two super simple things. These are vendors in the Syracuse area. One vendor here you can see made pizza dough. So they it was a simple plastic cloth, but it tied into their logo. And it really popped out as we were walking by. The other company makes products using ingredients from trees. And so simple, they integrated a tree stump into their display. So thinking, how can you bring your brand to life in your display? A bakery, or if you have bread, you could put actual dried wheat and as like a floral arrangement or something. I mean, there's different ways to integrate how your brand, or who you are and what your brand stands for. I love the simplicity of this too. This is Aaron Burr Cidery, the gurus of wild apples. And I mean, I was in awe when I first came to the market years ago at Rock Hill, and I just saw this. I'd heard so much about the cidery, and it literally was just the cider barrel sitting right there with the umbrella, and the owner was right there, and just really simple, to the point, wholesome. And again, he's using his car. I think that's great too. You use every square foot without being over the top, but it's not in your face, but yet you can't miss it. So we have another little Quizlet here. So anything wrong with this picture? I won't tell you which market it is, but it's closer to me than you. How about that?
Just looks like a pop-up street fair or carnival.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like anyone has any established permanence.
Exactly. This is actually what's so frustrating about this market is it's actually, there's some really great vendors there. They just, there's no signage. We do not know who is who. And I was not that far away and I couldn't tell you who, but I knew there were certain vendors I had wanted to go to this day, but I didn't know who they were. And I was starting to get just really annoyed. So there's just a lot of missed opportunities here. The other thing really quick with signage is you want to make sure you're visible looking on the market and as if you're walking side by side. So from all angles, you want your signage to be visible. So I'll let Melinda jump in here with some more excellent branded signage.
So Corey's Pickles, and we'll talk a little bit more about what else they do, but so sign, tablecloth, they have a tablecloth, but they really tap into the whole welcoming of their customers, having fun with pickles. They have welcome pickle lovers. So they're using their tablecloth to have not only just have their name, encourage you to go on social media, but, welcoming you to their table. So it gives you like a fun take on coming into the market booth.
And it's funny, Melinda, we were working on this presentation. She mentioned, making sure we included them. And I'm just noticing we're going to talk about merchandise later on today, but I am noticing just now that they do sell merchandise too. Like I'm kind of a big deal that t-shirt in the back. So they are just taking their brand everywhere, from their signage to the pickles themselves to t-shirts. So.
And this is another thing, using your signage to tell a story. So Majestic Farm does a really good job of promoting their story, who they are. They really tap into the whole family farm promotion. And they list, you can look far away, especially with meat, you're not going to have the meat out on the table. So how do you tell people what it is? So they have a nice big sign that says what they have in the front. They do a fun signage with all their pricing that really draws you to it, to look at what they have. And they really use the market as an opportunity to relate people back to the farm and make people want to go onto their farm. They do a lot of on-farm sales there as well.
Yeah, so I mean, right now we don't have a picture of it, but they'll put on their board, they'll use their board to remind people to come, that they're open for tours and visits. So using your branded signage to also pull people back to your business it's a great direct marketing tool. Good Find Farm again. I can't wait to use some of your farms in my presentations going forward, because you guys all have excellent brands. But taking it to the supporting signage. So it's not just your giant sign that hangs up and lets everyone know who you are, but it's the signs within your booth. And a very simple way to do that is just laminate a small sign if you change your pricing or you change what you have, and then you can just write it in with dry erase marker. And that way you always have a branded background using your color or your logo or whatever you'd like to do. These are two vendors in the Syracuse area, and another idea for signage is to use it as an opportunity to showcase your farm. So Griffin Hill actually they were a couple miles from my house where I used to live, and there's a beautiful, they grow their own hops. So there's a beautiful photograph or 9 photographs showing their hops. They also have, like, they're very proud of their hops farm. And again, they show this on social media, but they actually bring it to the market. And so having a tasteful frame is a nice way to show, it's almost like bringing social media to real life. So bringing maybe your top 9 Instagram photos, why not get those printed and put them in a frame at your table to show people where the magic happens? So Pika and Lisa, giving people behind the scenes pictures, again, at your booth of what goes on in your kitchens and showing them, and Barry, you could take a picture of your farm. So yes, the pickle people are back. And they even call themselves Mr. and Mrs. Pickle. This is a nice close-up because Corey's Pickles, the logo's on his hat, it's on his shirt. I love his shirt because it's not your typical t-shirt. It kind of suggests, it reminds me of saying someone working in a garage would wear. So it's showing like he works hard. He's the man behind the pickles. It's a really cool look, cool colors. So thinking of ways that you can use what you wear to showcase your brand. And again, just like Corey's Pickles, is there some funny saying that you could put, or it doesn't even have to be funny. It could just be your logo. Sometimes people will want to just simple, beautiful logo on a canvas bag. And I keep talking about merchandise, but that it really is, I think, a great way not only to have a little bit of supplemental income, but when people are wearing your tote or your t-shirt or your hat, they are walking advertisements for you. I actually don't know where this business is, but you know, they do a great job with color. Oh, sorry, the inevitable dog barking. I was hoping that this wouldn't happen, but I'm hoping that the lingering work from home culture is still working in my favor. But anyway, so they're carrying the blue throughout their display. And it's just a nice way. I think a lot of times I've talked to farmers, specifically farmers, and asked them, you know, why don't you wear a t-shirt or a hat or something to identify you? And they'll say to me, you know what, I just came from the field. I just loaded everything on my truck. I don't have time for that. And I always tell them, like, just, you've got to make time. Like, you know, just bring a washcloth in the car and a change of clothes, keep it in your truck and throw it on. Because, you know, the average customer doesn't get it. They don't understand. And so you kind of have to look the part of not what you know is real farm life. It's borderline between being authentic and showing customer focus. So you want to try and, you know, clean up, look like you care about your customers, and then, you know, they know you work hard and that you work on the farm. So that's just my little spiel.
The cidery, I forget that gentleman's name, but you know, he was wearing clothes that were identifiable as a farmer, but they were very clean. So he was wearing, you know, his overalls, but they clearly had not been worked in. And he looked kind of Parisian, like a Parisian.
I know, that's, you know, I would agree. Parisian. Yeah. I thank you so much for pointing that out, because it was authentic. Like, I bet you he does wear that when he works the cider press. But it's not the one he actually used that morning that smells like rotten apples. So yeah, I know I've already talked about this, about the merchandise, but you know, you can get really creative for like Pika, for your business. If you're selling prepared foods, maybe there's some sort of plate or something that goes with what you sell that would supplement it, maybe an apron with your logo on it. So it's something that's not directly related, or it relates to your brand, but it is part of the whole story. The other thing really quick about branded apparel, it's a great thing for giveaways. So, you know, you always want to be building up your mailing list, your email list. And one of the best ways to do that is to give away something and ask people to provide contact information. And quick note, you always have to say, please do not add, you know, everyone has to be able to enter your contest to win your apron or win your tote bag or your goodie bag, whatever it is. But just make sure you let them enter and provide that contact info, but not be included in your promotions. Just a quick legal note. But anyways, it's a great way you could also reward your top 5 customers. You could just, you know, we all know who our top 5 customers are, and how do you reward them? Well, maybe you give them merchandise. as something that they can wear and continue to promote your brand. I didn't think I'd talk about branded apparel so much tonight, but I think it's a really strong way to showcase your brand. Last thing, before we get to the last section, is branded info. So this is something that Melinda and I worked on with the Sullivan Catskills Farmers Markets. We created branded recipes. So it had the farm's logos on, the farmers market logo on it. And it was nicely designed, and we set it out and people could take it away. Again, it's another way for people to take your brand full circle, like Melinda said. So it's something they can bring home, put it on their fridge, hopefully, and grab it and think, oh, you know what? I'm going to go back to, Barry's farm because, or her booth at the market, because I just, I loved the ingredients that I made the pickles with. And so it's just a way to stay on the top of mind. And now we're on to the last section. Let me see how we're doing.
Any
15 more
questions
minutes.
at all at this point? We
Yeah.
have about 20 minutes left. Feel free to ask questions.
Do you have any recommendations for either online or brick and mortar stores that customize things like tents and whatnot affordably? Sometimes I see customizables being really expensive.
Yeah, I work with someone, believe it or not, they're out of Maine. Linda's worked with them
It's through
too.
the New York State Farmers Market
Yeah.
Federation, I think, has a contract with them. So
Yeah, so they give us,
that's who they use.
yeah, because they gave us a discount. You may be able to, I would always start local though. I also have a local printer I love. Start with a local print shop, even if you don't think that they do giveaway items, because a lot of times they'll have contracts with other vendors that maybe they can get you a discounted or a bulk rate. So start with like a local printer in the Catskills area and just say, hey, I know you printed materials, but do you also do any printing on like tote bags or t-shirts? And you know what? Things are expensive. They're getting more expensive.
And
But
especially with tents too, the
Yeah.
cheaper the quality, the cheaper the price, the cheaper quality it's going to be. Sometimes you
Yeah.
spend that extra amount on a tent, it will last a lot longer. I've definitely seen that difference with running our mobile farmers market program at Cornell.
Yeah. And the other thing, if you go with someone local, is they can be your voice. Because I'll be honest with you, most local printers outsource to China to print. I mean, it's just, unless they're like an in-house letterpress, but like when it comes to printing big banners, and I think a lot of them, they just outsource to big giant printers. And I shouldn't say China, it could be like out of state. It's just, that's what they do. And then they slightly mark it up. So the odds of someone actually printing out your banner in their print shop is rare, but
We have them here in Sullivan County.
You have a couple.
We do.
Yeah, there's a couple here, but ask them, because they'll stand. What I'm saying is, don't go and order something just like offline, because if you have a local person, they can stand behind the product, even if it's printed out of state or out of country. So
Thank you.
15 minutes left, Lindsay.
all right, here we go. So this is, now we're going to dive into ways we're going to kind of shift a little bit from branding. Branding's still going to come up, but we're going to move into how to actively sell at the market. So again, what's the payoff of focusing on branding? What's the payoff of focusing on your retail strategies? This came out a couple of years ago in the Washington Post. They took a deep dive of I actually should send you the link, but they did a deep dive on why some farms at farmers markets were successful and why others weren't. And this was the story of Stacy and Casey. They were farm managers that took over a farm. It was Mojo Farms, I believe it was called. And they took it over from someone that hadn't put a lot of effort in. And you can see just from this photo, they just used, it's handwritten, it's not anything fancy. but their table is nice and neat. They're putting effort in. You can see actually the chat box is blocking her. But I don't know if that's Stacy or Casey, but Stacy or Casey is leaning in. She's looks professional. She's got a little half apron. So anyway, they did not do a lot of complicated things, but they put effort into sales at the farmers market, and they almost doubled the sales of the farm. And then when they left and went on to a different farm, the sales dropped back. So yeah, I think they kind of just help farm. They'll take over a farm and just update it, but or update their sales strategies. But the point of it is that it does make a difference in your bottom line. It's not just for fun. So again, remember the purple cow. So how can your sales strategies also be different, unique, and memorable? And sales is not a dirty word. It doesn't mean you're a car salesman, like, hey, come buy our freshly baked bread. You know, you don't need to be cheesy to be a smart sales strategist. So one thing that I've seen success with is the 10-4 rule. So there's this tendency that you feel uncomfortable. You don't want to say, hey, what's going on? Would you like to try our vegetables? It's just not going to work. But if someone's at about 10 feet from your booth, you want to at least make eye contact with them and smile. It's not, people aren't going to feel uncomfortable. They're going to feel acknowledged. And if they do feel uncomfortable, they'll just keep walking. But for the most part, they'll smile. Maybe I see them usually circle back. So they feel like you're friendly, but maybe they're a little uncomfortable. They'll come back when they feel like they're ready. And then at 4 feet away, you should probably, that's pretty close. I'm just looking at my dog right now. And, you know, you don't want to ignore someone when they're that close. So you want to just say hi, or, you know, how's it going today, or something to show that you see them. So this is a little way to remember things that can help show without telling that you are customer focused and you want to do business with people. The first one, and I think the most important thing, is being busy. We've all been at the market and we've seen the vendor that just consistently sits. And now, trust me, I am not a farmer, I'm not a vendor, but I've done surveying, and you can't stand, and it's hard to stand for 3 or 4 hours straight. So it's okay to sit, it's okay to lean, but for the most part, being busy and showing busyness. So rearranging your bread, putting things in and out of the cooler, you know, swapping out produce. Any movement is going to attract the eye, and it's going to show people that you care. So you're busy. Your attitude. So again, are you happy to be there? You should at least fake it till you make it, even if you're tired. Just, you know, smile. When in doubt, smile. And then don't hover. No one likes a hovering farmer or vendor. So this is an easy one, but what's wrong with these vendors? And I have no idea where they're from.
Like how you blacked out their faces.
Yeah.
They're on their
Looking at
phone.
their phone, they're
Yep.
sitting, leaning, looking away, and they're pretty far from their booth. They're disengaged.
Yep. So that's why I like that 10-4 rule. It's a quick hit. So you can quickly smile and say something. And if someone doesn't want to engage with you, they'll just walk on. I think a lot of people think, well, you know, I don't want to be in the face of my customers. I don't want to annoy them. But if people feel annoyed, they'll just keep walking. But if you do this, you're definitely going to lose out on business, because you just don't look like you care. So a third tip, and there's 7, so we're nearing the end here. I don't want you to, I think we lost, Melinda, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. Okay. So yeah, we have 5 more or 4 more to go, but 3D displays. So what that means is just bringing depth and height to your displays so that the eye moves in and out. That actually triggers your brain to be, it stimulates your brain. So the eye moving around will trigger the brain to be in a more active state, a more buying friendly state. So you're actually using physiology to make your sales. Plus it just looks good and people want to take pictures of it. And these are beautiful displays. They look bountiful. It's okay too to use false bottoms. So that just means that with the Bielecki farms that, yeah, maybe well, actually, I think those are actually pretty full, but if you had a big thing of corn and it was in like a cider barrel, you wouldn't actually fill the whole thing down to the bottom, but it looks as if it's bountiful and full. Stack it up to rack it up. So another way to show bounty is, through stacking things vertically. So it looks, the eye moves up and down and it looks appealing. And again, it also is social media friendly. People want to take photos. I always include this one because she's busy. She may not be making eye contact, but she's busy. She's rearranging the corn, making it look good. Also, pile it high, watch it fly. These are fun little things you can remember, but it really does make a difference as opposed to just setting your product out and forgetting it. So don't set it and forget it. Pile it high and watch it fly. Just some more examples for you. And I'll let Melinda just dive in here about some other ways to display your products.
And then here's some more using the crates. As you can see, there are different options. You can have them out on the table, spread out around. There's also an option you can create, an island or something just outside your tent to be used as a way to draw the customer in from the outside. Get them a little comfortable coming into the tent. They can start to look at things on their own, start to check out what's there, look at the pricing, and then once they're, in that island area, bring them further into the tent as an option.
Bring them to the continent.
Yes.
So they start at the island and then they come in.
That's right. And here's some more. You can have crates, and a lot of farms, you have the nice wooden crates for stacking, but then you can also use the regular vegetable crates if you're a vegetable farmer, where you have everything, put in there. But again, it's organized and it's arranged to draw the eye.
And the other thing is, none of the examples we've shown you have just had produce lying on a table because it's flat and it requires people to get uncomfortably close. It's not the 10-4 rule. In order to see your booth, they would have to come in and literally be like within 2 feet and look down in order to see what you offer. And for some people that might just be too uncomfortable. So you never want to be horizontal. And I unfortunately am picturing two farmers, one in the Catskills, one in the Syracuse area, that both had like very flat displays, and it was uncomfortable. It wasn't that you felt like you were really close to them to see their products.
Mm-hmm. And of course, color. Here's color. Using that color to bring in people, especially again, people like to use social media, take pictures of things at the market. That's an opportunity to be tagged and share. You'll see for radishes, it's an example of one product that a lot of farmers will have piled high because it really does draw you into their stand. And organization too. You see fruit farmers doing this. It's full of color. It's organized with different groupings of the fruit, but it's also organized by color. And of course, for non-produce farmers, keeping things in order. There's a reason grocery stores do it. They have things organized together in certain ways, so it's not overwhelming. Organized by color, organized by product. You want to, grocery stores do it for a reason. So these are little tips, to carry over into the farmer's market.
And it doesn't mean you're being a sellout. It's just, especially for new customers that are new to the market or do the majority of their shopping at grocers, that's just what they're used to. And we can't fight the system. We're not going to convert everyone to a farmer's market shopper overnight. We have to make them feel comfortable, and then we take them over. So they get Stockholm syndrome and keep coming back to our markets. But no, really, I've had some pushback too with what, Melinda's talking about with mimicking a grocery store display. But again, that's what a lot of people are used to. And we shouldn't, just because we shop differently doesn't mean that you don't want to get that superiority complex. You want people to feel comfortable with how they shop with you. And sometimes it means borrowing. Maybe it's just one or two strategies from a grocer. So this is our last I think it's our last interactive.
We're almost at 7:30, so we could.
Yeah. Okay. And the last two slides are fast. So grocery stores. Speaking of grocery stores, one grocery store offered 24 types of jam for sampling, and then encouraged people to purchase the jam that they liked. And then on another day, they only offered 6 types. So which day had more sales?
6.
I would say 6 too.
Yeah. I don't even know what the 24 flavors would be. That frightens me. So yes, you were right. It was the 6. Did I delete that? No, there we go. So with 24 types, only 3% of people purchased jam. With 6 types, 30% of people purchased. So, I mean, that's a significant difference. So all that says is you got to tone it down sometimes. Now with vegetable, fruit and vegetable farming, it's a little different, but you don't want to have 24 types of frozen pre-prepared meals. Now you may offer it on a menu sheet, but bringing it all to market is just overwhelming. It looks cluttered and it feels cluttered, and people, when they're faced with too many decisions, walk away. This is so easy. I will take 10 seconds to say, if you don't put your prices out, you're going to lose customers. We did a lot of surveying with the Catskills farmers markets, and people said it over and over. I just feel stupid asking for pricing, or I feel uncomfortable having to talk to someone and ask what things cost, because they're afraid, it's too expensive and they can't afford it, or maybe they can afford it and they don't want to have to ask as if they wouldn't be able to afford it. It's all psychological. Just put your prices out. Whenever you can. I mentioned this earlier, laminated pricing, so that you can, if you change your pricing, you can just rub the marker off and change your pricing. And then last but not least, I'll let Melinda wrap things up with bundling ideas.
Yep. And you can even set up your products where you bundle it with other items on your table based off recipes, give people creative ideas. We've seen that be successful at the markets. If you're a produce person, salsa recipe, group them all together with the recipe. It might encourage people. They were just going to buy tomatoes, but now they're going to buy the other items as well, because that seems like a creative way to make a new recipe at night.
And again, with Pika and Lisa, your businesses, it might be even partnering up with another. So maybe, speaking of jam, there's a jam vendor, and they could set out just one beautiful loaf of bread and your business card and say, our jam pairs perfectly with their sourdough. Actually, that doesn't sound good. Their whole wheat bread or whatever. And then, for Pika, with pre-prepared meals, it could be partnering up maybe with a crafts person that does, I can't think of his name, but does the woodworking, the beautiful cutting boards. Or it could actually be, hey, we offer this prepared soup that goes really well with bread. So thinking of bundling up with other vendors. So with that, we are, let's see how bad we did.
1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute.
Late, so we were right on time, Lindsay.
I went 15 minutes over a couple weeks ago on another presentation. So this is a win.
So now, again, any questions, this is opportunity. You're, we're at 7:30. If you have to leave at 7:30, we won't be offended. But if you had, even further questions, Lindsay's on, and be happy to answer any, even ideas, about with your own, business.
Yeah. And I'd encourage you too to, if you want to just, you can use the chat or just chime in, but I'd love to hear things that have worked for you, or maybe things that haven't worked, that you've tried and just, it didn't, maybe related to branding or marketing, and it didn't pan out.
All right. Well, with that said, I know it's 7:30. Everyone's probably done for the day.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you again, Lindsay.
Yeah, and I'd be happy, my contact info is right there, and I'd be happy to look at anything for anyone, if anyone wants to run anything by me. But I looked at both of, or all three of your logos, and they're all beautiful. And I think you all are, you already are well on your way to mastering a lot of these strategies. So you're really ahead of the game. So
Yep,
I'm impressed by you.
and this is funded from a farmers market grant we have. So as we mentioned, we're going to have some more webinars coming up. And since you were on this webinar, again, if, like Lindsay said, if you have some follow-up questions, that's part of this whole training program that we're offering, so feel free to reach out to me or reach out to Lindsay if you have more, some more specific questions, and we'd be happy to help you.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we have a markets manager for Providence Farm Collective, the nonprofit, we also received a farmers market promotion program grant to launch our market. So I might connect him to you too. He's just coming home from Africa. That's where he's from originally. He was visiting some family there, but I'd love to connect him to you both as he kind of gets his
I will
feet
say,
in.
and I'm not trying to plug CCE Sullivan, but CCE they exist to help. I mean, they exist for a lot of reasons, but to help new markets, existing markets, and businesses with resources. So they are there to help, and they would be a great resource. And I'm happy to help too. I will be out on maternity leave though, so there's no hidden agenda here. I'm not trying to pick up a lot of business or anything right now. And I wouldn't anyway. I love to just talk to people. So you know what, have him call me. I'll be working for another month, and I can help with direct him to resources. So
Congratulations. Yeah. We found that. I mean, I farmed in the Catskills, and Melinda and was, always so helpful, and Michelle and the whole team there.
Oh yeah. So you've worked with them, they're awesome.
Yeah, they're stellar. I'm in Erie County for Providence Farm Collective, and they really don't have the I would say expertise or capacity to really help with marketing and branding. So it's been a different shift.
No, they get it at CC Sullivan.
We were sad to see Barry move out of the Catskills.
If only land wasn't so expensive there.
Yeah. All right. So thank you again for joining us tonight. I do have this recorded. So if you would like a copy of this, we have a YouTube channel at Extension. I'm going to get it up there, and I'll email it out to everyone. Just, if you ever want to look back on it on our YouTube channel, and feel free, like I said, to reach out to Lindsay and I.
Yep, I'd love to chat. And again, it's not no strings attached. Like I'm happy to just share my knowledge, and if you have questions, or what I really love to do is connect people with other people. So if there's something specific you're looking for, hopefully I can refer you to what that is. So.
All right. Great. Well, that said, thank you for joining us, and everyone have a good night. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Let me see.
Are you stopping the recording, or should I?
Oh yeah, I will restart.